There are ways of using a calculator to get this right. We could graph the left side of this as a y equals and then see where does that equal 0, and that is perfectly valid. Some people are going to be more visual and try to understand it that way, and if that's what it takes to get this question right, go ahead and do that. But we can also think about this conceptually and understand basically what the vocab is that they're asking for. When they talk about zeros, they're talking about x-intercepts. And so when we have a quadratic, which this exponent tells me I have, a quadratic, we find the x-intercepts by factoring, getting those parentheses terms, and setting it equal to 0. So the setting equal to 0 part is already done for us, and guess what? They've already factored it too. Now it looks a little weird because we usually have two sets of parentheses, and that's what the squared kind of tells us, is we do have that. We could write it as x minus 2 is equal to 0. And so now people are starting to think, oh, well, maybe now there's two zeros, two x-intercepts, because there's two factors. But no, solve the rest of the problem. The only possible value in either of them is x equals 2. And so when they say distinct, they mean the word different, right? Different zeros. And so these are both the same. They're both x equals 2. So there is exactly one solution here. 1 0, 1 x-intercept, 1 root, lots of vocab that all means the exact same thing. And so what that means if I graph it is that it's going to be a parabola that bounces at that point. So x equals 2 is somewhere over here. So it's going to just come down and touch that x-axis. That's where my x-intercept is. It's going to come down, touch it, and go right back up. And so there's just one point where it touches it. Whereas a lot of them go through and kind of come back up in another place. So it does depend what the quadratic looks like. It will have either 0, 1, or 2 solutions depending on where it's positioned. But in this case, all we have to do is think about what it means for the x-intercepts to be factors. And it's really obvious that it's just going to be 1 in this case. This is something that you will get asked about in some form, so be prepared to understand the complexities of quadratics and what they mean when they say zeros, x-intercepts, roots, solutions, factors. They're all code for the same kind of point here.